I did really take my own aesthetic and graft it on to the house of Gucci, and when I left Gucci, I took it with me.
Tom Ford teaming up with Chinese manufacturers to take down Gucci? That's not just a fashion feud, that's an industry ambush. I think this could be the most cutthroat power move we've seen in luxury fashion since the fall of Dolce & Gabbana in China. And let's be honest, if these allegations are even half true, Gucci is in deep, deep trouble. We're not just talking about a lawsuit or a bad headline, we're talking brand collapse.
Designer, I ultimately became creative director of Gucci Group. We acquired many other brands, Bottega Veneta, Stella McCartney, Alexander McQueen, Balenciaga. I was Yves Saint Laurent, I was creative director of the whole thing. I became vice chairman of the company.
This feels like the kind of shift that creates a new era in fashion. One where luxury isn't just about logos, but receipts. Real receipts. Tom Ford allegedly joining forces with Chinese manufacturers? That's not just shocking, it's poetic. This is the fashion world equivalent of Bruce Wayne teaming up with the people Gotham blamed for all its problems, just to expose the real villain hiding behind a luxury facade. Nobody expected this alliance, but now that it's allegedly happening, I can't stop thinking, this is exactly what the industry needed. Let's break it down.
Well, everyone
created
was fired
a great
except
place.
for me.
Oh, you were the only one not fired.
Yeah, they were all fired. I was still there. Fired.
So you just kept your head down?
Well, no, I kept my head up.
These manufacturers aren't just random factories. They've made product for every major luxury label under the sun. They've seen how brands cut corners, swap tags, and manipulate the illusion of handmade in Italy. These people don't just make the clothes. They know where the bodies are buried, and now they're reportedly choosing to speak. But why now? I think it's personal. Tom Ford has always been about legacy, precision, detail, elevation. He built his name on quality and vision, not hype and Instagram logos. Watching brands like Gucci skyrocket on trends while allegedly hollowing out their standards? I bet that ate at him. This feels like Ford's silent rage exploding in a strategic masterpiece.
And tried to take charge, which is my character and personality. But I worked for Maurizio Gucci for a period of time. Until 1992, I became design director, and then when Don Mello left in 94, I became creative director.
And that period of 1994 to 2004, when you were creative director, I believe that was it. Are there...
Creative director...
No screaming, no press conference, just undeniable proof, leaked at the right time from the right source. And let's be real. Tom Ford doesn't need Gucci's clout. He already conquered Hollywood. He built empires under YSL in his own name. So this isn't clout chasing, it's correction. He's not trying to join the fashion elite. He's trying to clean it. This alliance might be the smartest check made in fashion history. And if Gucci's foundation is as fake as the rumors say, this alliance will bring the whole house down.
I think if you really have to have a good eye. You do, and it's like this, you're trying to figure out where the seams go, how you can hide them. Can you do it out of one piece, like Halston, Can you, or Madeleine Vianney?
Gucci's been walking on designer glass for years. People love the aesthetic, the maximalism, the buzz, the so-called Italian craftsmanship. But behind all that glitter, there's been a growing stench, one that smells a lot like fraud. We've all seen the videos. Factory workers filming what they claim are Gucci bags being assembled with bargain bin materials. No double-stitched lining, no artisan handling, just glue guns, machine stamping, and silence. People have been suspicious, but when you're paying $2,800 for a purse, you don't want to believe it's a scam. You need to believe the luxury is real.
Birkin bag at Hermes boutique will cost you 38,000 USD. But what is the real cost out of the factory? Today, I'm going to break it down in front of you, step by step. First thing first, Hermes only use the leathers from the 3 top-level suppliers. One is called Nuti from Italy. And the second is Weinheimera from Germany. And the third is Haas from France. One piece of Togo leather, the same leather as this one, will cost 450 USD. And one piece of the leather is only enough to make one Birkin, okay? The thread. And of course, for Hermes Birkin, the thread is also the best top level. It's called Fil al Chinois from France. This is actually the Rolls Royce in thread. For each bag, the cost is 25 USD. And then the hardware. See, this hardware is called 316 hardware. It's also known as the ocean stainless steel because it can withstand the erosion of seawater. It's the best stainless steel. For one piece of bag, the hardware will cost 150 USD. The edge oil. This edge oil is imported from Italy. It's called heat sealed edge oil. For each bag, it will cost 50 USD. The interior lining, it used lambskin imported from France. For each bag, the cost will be 100 USD. And also inside, there is a zipper from Riri brand. And the zipper for one bag is 10 USD.
That's the power Gucci's been exploiting. But now, the illusion is cracking. Insiders have reportedly leaked untagged bags identical to official releases. Resellers are comparing batch codes and finding duplicates with different fabrics. And the most damning whisper? That Gucci's limited drops were allegedly rerouted through Chinese markets to create artificial scarcity, then rebranded and resold. That's not just unethical, that's manufacturing fraud disguised as fashion strategy.
These are pieces of artwork. These artisans train years and years to make one of these bags.
Fabrice is doing the last stitching on a Kelly bag. A Kelly takes around 13 hours to be made, depending on the materials that we make it. Our artisans, they need to do 4 years of training to be able to manufacture a Kelly bag.
Wilhelma says, made in China, does it feel cheaper? No, that's not quality issue. It's luxury brand washing.
Hermes, you guys, it's time to show off your factories. No, I don't want to wait to go on YouTube and watch a beautiful documentary on. Show them off right here on TikTok. Let the world see. Okay, get like China. You gotta be ghetto about it. Just let people know.
If Tom Ford's team actually has documents tying Gucci to these schemes, emails, invoices, even old WhatsApp threads from production leads, then this isn't just a scandal, it's an industry indictment, one that could redefine the rules of fashion transparency forever. And honestly, I think Gucci knew this day would come. That's why they've been extra polished lately. PR fluff, charitable collabs, sustainability pledges. But when you're building a luxury empire on shortcuts and secrets, sooner or later, someone like Ford comes knocking, with receipts. Let's stop pretending Gucci is an isolated case. If these allegations hold up, this isn't just a Gucci problem. It's a luxury industry earthquake. Because if one top-tier brand allegedly cut corners to maintain hype and profit margins, who else is doing the same thing? I think this could be the start of a full-on luxury reckoning. Consumers are waking up. They're realizing that made in Italy doesn't mean what it used to, that hand-stitched claims are often marketing fluff, and that $3,000 bags can be, and sometimes are, mass-produced with cheap labor and repackaged as prestige. Tom Ford stepping into the ring with actual evidence? That's different. That's not a TikTok rant or a blogger guess. That's a fashion insider with legacy, power, and access, standing at the edge of the battlefield and yelling, "Enough." This could be the start of what I call the luxury cleanse. Brands that can't prove their sourcing, their production, their pricing, they won't survive. Consumers won't tolerate it anymore. People aren't just buying a bag, they're buying a story. And if that story turns out to be a lie, that brand is dead. This goes way beyond Gucci. If Gucci falls, the public's trust in the entire fashion elite crumbles with it. And I think the next few months could determine which brands rise on transparency and which drown in exposure. Let's stop pretending this was spontaneous. Tom Ford didn't just wake up, sip a cappuccino, and decide to declare war on Gucci. This was calculated, precise, and honestly, genius. This is a legacy move. Because while other designers are chasing Instagram clout, Ford is going for the throat, using truth as his weapon. He's not throwing shade, he's throwing documentation. Allegedly teaming up with the very manufacturers who helped build Gucci's empire from the shadows? That's not sabotage, that's justice. I think Ford looked around and realized the industry was rotting. Hype over heritage, shortcuts over craftsmanship. And instead of playing along, he flipped the board. You want to talk about power? This is it. He's not launching a new fragrance or teasing a capsule collection. He's exposing the dark underbelly of an empire. He's turning whispers into headlines. And in a world where fashion is run by illusion, Ford is allegedly the guy screaming, "Here's what's real." And here's what makes it a masterstroke. Ford doesn't have to say a word publicly. The narrative is writing itself. Every leak, every viral video, every factory testimony, it strengthens his position. He's setting a precedent, one where transparency is currency, where your name doesn't mean a thing if your process is fake. I think Tom Ford's not just rewriting fashion history, he's correcting it. And when it's all said and done, this move might outlive his runway shows, his movies, and some his red carpets. Because being the one who stood up to $1 billion illusion, that's immortal. The biggest plot twist in this entire scandal? The so-called villains of fashion are flipping the script. For decades, Chinese manufacturers have been dragged through the mud, blamed for every counterfeit, every knockoff, every luxury scandal. But what if they were never the villains? What if they were just following orders? Let's really think about this. Luxury brands love plausible deniability. Outsourcing production, masking materials, splitting orders across continents. It's all about hiding the paper trail. And who better to hide behind than a factory halfway across the world? It gave Gucci cover. It gave them distance. But now, that cover might be gone. Because the same factories that allegedly helped mass produce authentic pieces under Gucci's name, they might have kept the emails, the text threads, the prototypes. I wouldn't be shocked if somewhere in a dusty office drawer in Guangzhou, there's a folder marked confidential with logos, serials, and instructions that Gucci hoped no one would ever see again. Now imagine those documents landing in Tom Ford's lap. Imagine those manufacturers saying, "Enough. We're not taking the blame anymore." That's not just payback. That's poetic justice. For years, they were treated like shadows, used and discarded. But now, they're the ones holding the matches. And let's be clear, these factories aren't small-time operations. These are multi-million-dollar hubs with their own tech, their own legal teams, their own reach. If they choose to expose the system that made them complicit, I think they'll burn it to the ground. And I'll be honest, I'll be cheering them on. The most dangerous people in fashion right now aren't celebrities or creative directors. They're the silent workers who remember everything. And if they've joined Tom Ford's cause, then Gucci's skeletons are about to become global headlines. This isn't just scandal, it's combustion. The moment those whispers about Gucci's alleged fraud hit the internet, the digital firestorm was instant. Twitter threads, TikTok exposés, Reddit deep dives, people didn't wait for confirmation. They already believed it. That's how fragile Gucci's trust bank really was. Fashion Twitter, ruthless. TikTok fashion sleuths, already going viral, and the comments aren't subtle. Told y'all it was glue and dreams. $3K for a purse that sheds like a hamster. Tom Ford understood the assignment. People are laughing, dragging, and dunking, and not because they're surprised, but because they were waiting for it. I think Gucci's downfall became entertainment the minute they got cocky. And let's talk about Gen Z. This isn't your mother's fashion crowd. They don't worship logos, they worship receipts, screenshots, behind-the-scenes leaks. And now that Ford is allegedly handing them the proof, they're not just canceling Gucci, they're torching the entire brand narrative. This generation doesn't care about legacy. They care about receipts and ethics, and Gucci's running low on both. What's worse? The silence. Gucci's radio silence is loud, and the longer they wait to respond, the more guilty they look. You can't stay silent while the internet buries your reputation in real time. Because once the audience turns, you can't PR your way out of it. Not with influencers, not with ads, not with celebrities. That trust, once it's gone, it's gone. This isn't backlash. This is a fashion revolt. And Gucci's sitting at the center of the storm, praying the timeline refreshes fast enough to save them. Spoiler, it won't. This is about to get legal. Gucci isn't going to sit quietly while Tom Ford and his alleged allies torch their empire. But if Ford really has receipts, discovery is going to be brutal. I'm talking deposition rooms, leaked emails, shredded NDAs, and here's the kicker. If any of those Chinese manufacturers flip and testify, Gucci's going to need more than lawyers. They're going to need a miracle. This isn't a brand war anymore. It's a courtroom battle that could define what luxury even means in the 2020s. Let's say Gucci falls. Let's say Ford pulls it off. What happens next? I think the whole luxury model gets a reset. Transparency becomes currency. Consumers stop worshiping logos and start asking for receipts. And the brands that survive, they'll be the ones that never had anything to hide. The era of mystery, of marketing over substance, it's ending. Tom Ford just lit the fuse. Tom Ford allegedly teaming up with Chinese manufacturers to expose Gucci might sound wild, but I think this is real. I think it's overdue, and I think it's going to change everything. If Gucci really did cut corners and deceive their base, this isn't just a scandal, it's a warning. To every brand riding on lies and logos, you're next.